Hello, I'm Robert Kelly, host and writer of Record All Monsters, and this is an ad for Anchor. That's right, it's an ad for Anchor, and if you haven't heard about Anchor, it's the easiest way to make a podcast. I was really intimidated at first to start this show until I heard about Anchor, and there were a few things that made me feel more at ease to begin. First of all, it's free. They have creation tools that allow you to record and edit your podcast right from your phone or computer, and Anchor will distribute your podcast for you so that it can be heard on a number of platforms, including whichever one you're listening to it on right now. You can even make a little money from your podcast with no minimum listenership. It's everything you need to make a podcast in one place. And even their ads are easy. The mandatory call to action is something I can state freely. Download the free Anchor app or go to anchor.fm to get started. Doesn't that feel good? This has been an ad for Anchor, and I've been Robert Kelly, host and writer of Record All Monsters.
Bleh!
Hi.
It's Robert. I'm Robert Kelly, host and writer of Record All Monsters. And happy Halloween to you guys. I'm here with Courtney.
Hello. It's always spooky season at our house.
It really is. But today we are bringing you a special, a Halloween special, which is why I opened the show by going, Bleh! So, to celebrate this spookiest of all seasons, we watched 2 episodes of one of my favorite giant monster-related shows. Courtney, what was the name of the show we watched?
Johnny Sokko and his flying robot.
Yes, but for the sake of today's episode, which is Scary Monster Halloween, it's Johnny Sokko and his flying ghost bot. No, we watched 2 episodes, The Terrifying Space Mummy and Dracula, Creature of Doom.
Sorry.
It's okay. Now, we watched The Terrifying Space Mummy first. Courtney, can you tell us a little bit about The Terrifying Space Mummy?
Well, it starts off and this mummy is pouring what looks like blood into a water tank. And when I saw him doing that, the first thing that popped into my mind was the, My Chemical Romance song that came out when I was in high school. That was blood, gallons of stuff. Give them all that they can drink and it'll never be enough. It reminded me of that.
I see.
When the kids at this school were drinking the water, they turned into mummies. And
lifeless mummies.
Yes, and the makeup was truly horrifying.
Great.
It was sort of like a combination of paper mache before it's dried out with oatmeal and clay
flaking off of them.
Yeah, it was so gross, but super well done.
So what happens next?
And then after that, they find out that he's going to poison all the water and make everyone in Tokyo mummies.
How do they find that out?
I don't remember.
He sends them a little record.
Oh, yeah.
For a toy record player. And they put it on a little toy Fisher-Price record player. How does the mummy talk?
He talks sort of like when people try to do Michael Jackson impressions. It's really weird.
It's really high pitched and kind of like throaty.
Yeah.
It's like this almost.
Yeah. I'm really curious as to what the original voice sounded like. But he's pretty terrifying, and I don't really know why he wants to turn everybody into mummies, because he doesn't really have a plan for, like, after everyone becomes a mummy, they're lifeless mummies.
He's working for Emperor Guillotine, Courtney.
Yeah, but, like, there's no plan.
Guillotine wants to take over the whole world.
I gotcha.
So I think the plan is to turn all of Tokyo into mummies, and then be like, we'll turn the rest of y'all into mummies too if you don't.
Oh. Gotcha.
So then what happens after they find out?
Then I wrote, no, everyone needs clean water.
It's a human right.
They go to a convent.
Yes.
And that was very strange. And it's a convent where they don't speak. They've taken a vow of silence, which...
And no men are allowed.
Yes.
So, Agent U5, whose actual name I forget, has to go in.
Yes.
So, eventually, she uncovers the mummy, who's like, hello.
He's pretending to be the Mother Superior.
Yes, he's disguised as a nun, and we get a few brief... They don't treat them as, like, visual sight gags of him in nun garb. Like, they're treated as spooky reveals.
Yes.
Which is pretty good.
Yeah. I put most Catholic episode of this show.
Yeah, they got, like, the floor plan of the church right and everything. And then he shows her the nuns he killed by turning them into mummies. He's like, we're gonna turn you into a mummy too. And
then they're like, hey, how come our friend isn't back yet? Uh-oh. Guess we better go and help.
And they get captured.
Yeah.
Also, the mummy has a giant monster in a box in the church.
Oh, yeah. But it's also tiny. It grows.
Yeah. So
it's not always giant. And it has little green giraffe spots, and it's kind of cute.
So, they're gonna set that monster on the city as well as spike the water with mummy juice.
Yep.
And then Johnny Sokko and Jerry Man, that's his name. He's the last name. Man.
Normal man.
And Jerry Man disguises himself as a nun and gets the drop on the terrifying space mummy.
Yes.
Who then unleashes the monster.
And it was kind of funny because we had just watched The Invisible Man.
He looks more like the Invisible Man than a mummy.
Yeah. And it's like, you can definitely tell that they were kind of going for that.
Which, I mean, that's why this episode is included here. It covers 2 of the Universal monsters. We're calling this episode Johnny Sokko and his Flying Robot Meet the Classic Monsters.
The Invisible Mummy.
Yeah, the Invisible Mummy.
But he's
And-
not invisible. He has gross teeth, and you can see. They're like those Bubba teeth.
Yeah, and there's another bad guy in this series who has even worse Bubba teeth. And he has just like real bad male pattern baldness.
Oh no.
And Bubba teeth.
Oh no.
And a giant forehead.
Yeah.
I forget his name.
Giant robot.
Giant robot comes and beats up the monster. And the mummy gets squished.
Yep.
And that's the end of this episode. So,
Yeah.
Courtney, on a scale of 1 to 10, mummified nuns, what do you give this?
7.
7 mummified nuns.
Yeah.
I give it 10 because I give pretty much every episode of Johnny Sokko and his flying robot 10. Just because I love it so much. I can't be impartial. Moving right along,
Duty.
we have the second episode we watched tonight, which was the second to last of the series, which is called, I have the guidebook here.
Has vampires.
It has vampires. It's called Draculon, Creature of Doom.
And it has a really cool face. It's like it's carved out of lapis lazuli or something.
The original episode title in Japanese was The Space Vampire.
Yeah, that sounds about right. But I like how it starts off as kind of like, uh-oh, this lady is in trouble. And a guy comes over there and is like, what's wrong? She's like, I just found this dead guy. And then it's like, that I killed. Ha ha ha.
So yeah, and then someone reports the guy who she kills at the beginning is a unicorn agent. So someone reports him missing. So they send Johnny Sokko and Jerry Mann. Jerry Mann, I can never get over that.
Gerrymandering.
No, just Jerry Mann. They send Jerry Mann and Johnny Sokko to investigate. And they run into the girl. And she's like, I don't know anything. Maybe my grandpa can help you.
And the grandpa is the lapis-faced monster.
The Draculon.
Draculon. And he does a Dracula voice.
He talks like Bela Lugosi,
Yeah.
but real not good impression.
Yeah.
We talked briefly about this episode in a mailbag way back at the beginning of Record All Monsters. But I wanted to bring it up again to kind of go over in depth. There's actually not a lot of depth to go over. It's just very point A, point B storytelling.
Yep.
With lots of weird little stuff. They kidnap Agent U6, who's a little girl Johnny's age. Johnny Sokko, the 8-year-old with a gun,
Yeah.
would be another good title for this show.
Yep. There's a lot of guns for kids show.
Johnny Sokko, 8-year-old with a gun. And like in the Mummy episode, he's just like brandishing that. He's like whipping it out and throwing it around. And he's like,
His gun, yes.
I'm 8, I got a gun.
Yep.
It's great. 10 out of 10. So they get there and they're like talking to the grandfather. And they go, did you see the guy who did this? What did he look like? And he turns around. He goes, he looked like these!
Yes.
And turns around and has his blue monster face on.
It's like a less shocking version of the Large Marge scene that haunts my childhood nightmares.
And he's like, Bleh! And
Bleh, tell him Large Marge sent you.
he's trying to steal the watch to get the giant robot out of commission. Because the giant robot's all that's standing in the way of Emperor Guillotine conquering the world. We will go into more detail over the story of Johnny Sokko and his flying robot when we talk about the TV movie AIP cobbled together from 5 episodes called Voyage into Space. That is an episode that's coming up in the second half of season 2 of Record All Monsters, which is debuting a scanty 2 weeks after this episode
Yep.
drops.
Don't worry, you'll get to finish King Kong.
Yes.
To finish out the other episode, he tells Giant Robot backwards
To disregard the next order.
which it definitely doesn't sound like a code at all. And then he tells them to attack Unicorn headquarters.
Which is what Dracula has told Johnny Sokko to do, otherwise he will turn...
the girl into a vampire.
Yeah. And then he's gonna do it anyway. They all get tied up and put in coffins.
Mm-hmm.
And then Giant Robot punches through the roof.
It's kind of funny because these vampires act a lot more like zombies.
Yeah, like they can be out in the day.
Yeah, and like they're like blood, and they like run after him and are like grabbing at him and stuff, and just like it feels a lot more Night of the Living Dead.
Which this predates.
Yeah,
Yeah.
interesting.
This started in 1967 and ran to 1969.
Mm.
So, I mean, this episode, in Japan originally, so this episode doesn't predate Night of the Living Dead, but the series does. I wonder if Night of the Living Dead was available in Japan in 1968.
Yeah. But it's that same sort of like zombie-fied thing, and it's like all they're thinking about instead of brains is blood. And the vampire like look is pretty different.
They've got green faces, and instead of your regular fangs that fit inside your mouth,
Yeah.
they have like 2 big, almost warthog
Yeah, they're
fangs
like
coming.
tusks.
Yeah, coming out the.
But it's kind of cool.
It's
I liked
neat.
it. It was different.
It's neat, and so Giant Robot shows up. Dracula grows to be as big as Giant Robot,
Yeah.
and they fight. And eventually, Giant Robot makes flaming crosses by doing the Ultraman thing with his arms.
Yikes. I mean, I know they didn't know about that over there at that time.
But what's interesting is like the occult or Christian symbolism is at the time was pretty occult. I don't know if it still is within Japanese culture. So like they would look at Christian symbolism the way we look at a lot of like Eastern signs and symbols of religion. So like people don't understand, like you have these white social media girls talking about the I Ching and they don't know what they're doing. It just sounds cool and mystical. And that's kind of what this is, like flaming cross. Okay.
Yeah. And that means something very different to Americans, especially non-white Americans.
Like me.
Oof.
Catholics were not.
Yeah.
We were on the list.
Yeah.
We're talking about the Ku Klux Klan.
Ugh.
But so that is Draculon. Courtney, how many inappropriate flaming crosses out of 10 do you give this one?
I give it an 8.
I also give it 10 because it's perfect in every way. Like all episodes of Johnny Sokko and his flying robot.
I like that Giant Robot does not have a name. He's just what he is.
It's just giant robot. It's like if you
Yes.
called everyone you knew, like if I called Courtney human female.
Giant man.
Now that we've got that wrapped up, let's start talking a little bit about the upcoming season 2. I guess this is kind of a preview episode. Our full list of what movies we'll be covering is available on our website, recordallmonsters.wordpress.com, I think it is. There's links to it on all of our social medias.
Yeah.
So that's going to be the movies we'll be covering. There will be quick looks still. We will be alternating in the off weeks. We'll still be continuing our King Kong novelization read through. I'm very sorry about not having one out for you last week. To make up for that, there will be 2 this week. I was having really severe allergies and lost my voice multiple times over last weekend. It's still not at like its full effect, but it's enough that we can do this. And we're already in active production on the first half of season 2.
Yep. We got some interlibrary loan books.
So yeah, we'll see y'all November 12th, and happy Halloween! Oh, that's another thing. The Draculon, he does a countdown for Johnny Sokko to obey his orders.
5 seconds.
5 seconds. He goes 5, and then I would go
How can you not?
4,
Yeah.
3,
It's pretty humorous.
2, and then he doesn't make it to 1.
Yeah.
So, with that all in mind, happy Halloween! And do you know what I'm going to do to you now? Have you ever seen an animal skinned? That is what I'm going to do to you. Flay the flesh from your body, slowly, beat by beat. That's from The Black Cat.
Ugh.
Bela Lugosi says it to Boris Karloff, and he's the good guy in that one.
Yeah. I remember that now.
Okay.
I was like, WTF, Robert?
Slowly. That's what I always remember about that. Slowly. Alright, we hope you enjoyed this Record All Monsters Spooky Special. Ooh.
Bye.
Eat some candy unless you're diabetic.
And then eat something you like.
Eat something you enjoy. Remember that even at this spooky time of year, monsters are your friends.
Especially at this time of year.
Welcome to Pyramid Scheme, a new Destiny podcast focused on making the Destiny community a more welcome place. I am your Master of Ceremonies, Austin, also known as Forebear online, and joining me is the incredible, the unbreakable, the world champion Titan skating juggernaut, Luminous Havoc, aka Justin. That's right, Austin and Justin, we're 2 buds here to sit down and gab on about our favorite hobby, Destiny 2 the video game by Bungie Studios LLC. We've been playing Destiny since the beginning, and for the last 5 years, we've mostly done so together. We did drift apart there shortly as I moved over to PC and Justin stayed on Xbox, but thanks to the power of crossplay, we've been reunited and are going to be sitting down weekly to bring you all of the latest news and hottest topics in the world of Destiny. This is Pyramid Scheme.